Environment. Why doesn't Canada have better rail service?
Well, here to answer that is Paul Langan. He's the founder of High Speed Rail Canada, a lobby group pushing for better rail service. You've been at this for 20 years trying to get better train service for Southern Ontario. The one argument that you do hear often is that we just don't have the population base here for better train service. Do you buy that?
Well, Diane, first of all, I'm glad you asked that question. That's the number one thing I hear about the reason not to have high-speed rail. We don't have the population. And that's the number one thing that's simply not true. We have way beyond the population we need to have high-speed rail links in Ontario and in Quebec. In fact, in Spain right now, they're putting in high-speed rail between cities that have drastically less population than we do between our cities.
Okay, where would it start, where would it end, and who pays for it?
Well, where would it start? There's a bunch of studies that have been out there, maybe 10 or 12 now, just 2 in the last year, actually, or 2 suggestions. Certainly down in Windsor, where they've been so warm to the idea of high-speed rail, a lot of the studies are saying that corridor, Windsor, London, Toronto to Montreal, and then to Quebec City. Recently, though, a member from Parliament from Peterborough has suggested that we go up around Highway 7 through Peterborough up to Ottawa, and certainly that idea has some merits, too.
So a new rail, not existing tracks?
Well, that's a great question too, Diane. Actually, people always say that. Well, VIA goes here, so the high speed goes here. Well, not necessarily. It could be totally separate. It could be on existing partly, or the combination of the two. It just depends.
But, and the cost?
Well, the cost, again, you're hitting all the bullets tonight, Diane. The cost, put it this way, for the last 50 years, we've been saying you have to take the roads. For the last 50 years, we've made planning decisions that have been, shall we say, poor. So to correct 50 years of bad planning decisions, yes, it's going to cost a lot to put high-speed rail in. Yes, it's going to cost a lot to correct these previous mistakes, to give people viable options, frequent and cost-effective rail service.
The federal budget coming out this week, everybody wants a piece of the action. Are you on the radar?
If passenger rail is on the radar, I would love to see it be high-speed rail, or at least higher-speed rail. My only fears are that if they give it a bunch of money to Via Rail, that we don't see the kind of improvements we need. So I'm hopeful we see high-speed, but I really don't know till that day comes.
And you'll be celebrating if there is an announcement.
I think we'll have a glass of white wine if that happens.
Paul Langan, thank you very much for coming and talking to us today.
Thanks, Diane.